I'm gonna go, I know we're opening for the Q&As, right? But
Yes.
I would have to leave
But you got a
soon, so
question.
I want to ask one question.
Sure.
Go
Just a- What, more like a comment. You've been referring to the gold standard, and that's what we should strive to get in the
Yes.
Middle East. But subsequent attempts to introduce the gold standard in the agreements with Vietnam and some others
Right.
didn't work.
Well, they didn't work. They,
So
yes.
there is sort of a precedent that we let that gold standard slip.
Yeah, I think you put it better in the second sentence.
Yeah.
Essentially, so far, Atoms for Peace has been the only idea we've had since 1953, with some interventions along the way saying, you know, you need to be careful about reprocessing and enrichment, Ford Carter policies, and things like that. The margin of safety between bomb making and boiling water has changed, I would argue, the last time we looked at what we should be demanding in these agreements, which was roughly in '78, was the last time we listed all the conditions in what was called the Nuclear Nonproliferation Act of '78. We visit this question usually every 30 or 40 years. We're due. And if we didn't get it last time, it's because we wanted to make the agreement more than we wanted to get it right. It was not because we insisted on it too much. It was because we did not insist upon it very much, not only with the customer, but we have never really worked trying to get the other suppliers to think about adopting this. And why? Well, because we're so worried about firms like Westinghouse, which I think is, at this point, a misplaced concern. What I'm trying to tell you is that we're moving into a new period, and it's one in which perhaps people will be arguing more may be better. It's one in which the margin of safety that we assumed exists between civilian nuclear power production and bomb making is nowhere near as great as what we thought. And that the exploitation of the civil sector for making bombs is on the upswing, not the downswing. Now, could be wrong, but that's the burden of this presentation and why this is an interesting topic. If it was just about another 123, not so interesting. How shall I put it? How lucky do you feel? If you don't feel very lucky, you get out of the garage on this diplomatically and start talking to other countries in a way we have not done yet.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there was a point back last decade, I think during the first term of Bush 43, with G8 establishing
Yes.
a moratorium
Yes.
on all these things, but I'm not really sure that it held all too long.
No, it did not. You know, I always like to say to people, well, we tried that, didn't work.
Oh.
The rejoinder would be, in politics, repetition is the soul of wit. And if you don't believe that, you have not been following narratives where they just simply say things over and over again, even if they're not true, and after a while they're going, yeah, well, you got to remember such and such. I don't think it's just repetition. I think we need to kind of be more candid about a couple of things. You could build more support for this if, for example, the U.S. government actually assessed what the timely detection goals ought to be for the IAEA, what the significant quantities ought to be, you know, whether or not the timeliness detection goals are sound. I know the IAEA Safeguards Division and the folks who are doing future planning privately think that would be a great idea, and each time they mention they think it's a great idea, someone comes along with a ruler, stop that. Well, maybe we need to get on their side and do it ourselves. If you did, you could probably build a sort of a case for why maybe we need to be a little tougher on certain things. I mean, after all, the Iran deal, if it meant anything, it was to spotlight our nervousness about enrichment and reprocessing. I mean, you know, people debate whether it went far enough or was good enough, but that's what it was focusing on. You know, so things change.